Meantime, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill into law banning biological male athletes from competing in girls' sports at the high school and collegiate level. Now, here's DeSantis explaining his decision.
It's not a message to anything other than saying we're going to protect fairness in women's sports. We believe that it's important to have integrity in the competition, and we think it's important that they're able to compete on a level playing field. And, you've seen what's happened when you don't have that.
Joining us to discuss, Florida's Lieutenant Governor, Jeanette Nunez. Lieutenant Gov, thanks so much for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Good morning to you. There have been critics about the governor's law. They call it anti-trans women, also noting the fact that this was signed on June 1st, the first month of Pride Month as well, recognizing LGBTQ individuals. Talk to me about the decision to sign this bill. Where do you stand on it? Did the governor make the right call?
Sure. Well, what I'll tell you is that the governor signed this bill into law, protecting women, protecting young girls. I'm a mother of a daughter who participated in high school athletics throughout her entire career. She was able to achieve the pinnacle. They were able to reach the state championship in her track team. And had this law not been in place, had we not had protections for our girls, we would have seen, obviously, that sport and my daughter's opportunities squandered like so many others. We heard from a track student from Connecticut. She's the one that filed the lawsuit, talking about the opportunities that she was robbed of because a biological male would compete against her. And so I think it was the right call. The governor expressed very clearly, this isn't against anyone. This isn't discriminating against anyone. It is protecting women. It's protecting the integrity of the sport for women that they fought so long and hard for, coming up on the 50th anniversary next year of Title IX. And so I do believe it's a great bill, and I support it 100%.
I want to talk to you about another sort of controversy that's happening in Florida here. We know a lot of cruise liners depart from Florida, and right now some cruise lines are saying that they want to have vaccine passports, essentially to prove that everyone on board has been vaccinated against COVID-19. The governor signed a bill banning businesses from asking customers whether or not they've been vaccinated against COVID-19. Talk to me about sort of the controversy here. What's really at stake? Could Florida lose business because of the governor's ban, again, of these vaccine passports?
Well, first of all, let's start off by saying the cruise industry is extremely important to Florida. The governor has been extraordinarily supportive of the cruise industry throughout the pandemic, and the state of Florida initiated the lawsuit against the CDC. They have no congressional authority to shut down an industry for over a year. They have impacted 2 summers of sailings, not just for Florida, but for the whole country. And so we believe that their decisions, the no-sail order, has been arbitrary, it's been draconian, and it's definitely something that I think we are 100% committed to assisting the cruise industry. What we will not do in Florida, and that is currently Florida law, is we will not allow them to basically require individuals to demonstrate through a vaccine passport. The governor's been very firm on that as well. If you look at the Biden administration's threshold for herd immunity, if you will, they are trying to get to a 70% threshold. The 95% threshold that the CDC is imposing upon the cruise industry far exceeds even the president's own admission of what he would like to achieve in terms of herd immunity. Also, I'm an avid cruiser. You often see many children on board these cruises, and so this also impacts Florida families with young children that aren't allowed to get vaccinated, that the vaccine is not approved for them, and those families have made the choice to not vaccinate their children. So we believe the CDC has far exceeded their regulation. We believe they have imposed these really onerous and arbitrary thresholds that just aren't real. They cannot be met, and we are going to continue to work with our cruise industry to assist them, but not at the expense of Florida's rights and medical privacy.
Do you fear that some of these ships will no longer dock in Florida?
No, we think that we'll be able to come up with an agreement. We hope that the judge in the case will recognize the validity of our arguments. Florida is the cruise capital of the world. And under our administration, we're going to continue to make sure that we're the cruise capital of the world. But again, we're going to protect people's decisions as it relates to vaccination and their medical privacy as well.
Okay. I know Governor DeSantis really did gain some national attention throughout the pandemic. Of course, he was praised by many, he was criticized by many, and now we're looking ahead to midterms, as we always do. We're learning, though, that he does have a challenger, Nikki Fried, a Democrat who's running for governor in Florida, again, these 2022 midterm elections here. Also learning that she was forced to fix her financial disclosures for a second time from some money she made in the cannabis business, essentially underreporting her income there. But at least from my research and some of the candidates I've heard running, she appears to be the top contender against Governor DeSantis. Does the DeSantis team fear this competition here? How are they planning for the run in 2022?
We absolutely do not fear Nikki Fried as a candidate. Nikki Fried as an ag commissioner has been a total disaster. She has done absolutely nothing in her role, her current role of agriculture commissioner here in the state of Florida. As you know, agriculture is also an important part of our economy. What you referred to as an omission, if it was just a simple omission, that's fine, we'll move on. It's not a simple omission. She tried to hide her deep-seated ties with the marijuana industry because of her relationship with her fiance. She is literally and figuratively in bed with the marijuana industry. And so we think that it's important that now that she's on the big stage, that she's running for in her party to earn the Democratic primary nomination, she needs to be scrutinized. We feel very strongly that we're going to run on our record. We made a promise to Floridians that we would always put them first. What we've been able to do, not only on issues related to COVID, but issues related to the environment, to education. We have a lot to tout. We have a lot to be proud of. This governor has done an extraordinary job, and we believe that Floridians are going to reward him with a second term.
Okay, Charlie Crist, the other Democrat, notable Democrat name in the race. Jeanette, just to confirm, you plan on running as lieutenant governor again?
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited to continue working on behalf of Floridians.
Okay, that is Jeanette Nunez joining us live on the program, Florida's Lieutenant Governor. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.